Hello, everybody. Joe Carlton here. Welcome to episode 2 of Aces Up podcast, where we bring you nothing but fantasy football aces that give you valuable insights on our game to help you get prepared for your 2025 drafts. Tonight, we look down at our hand, and yes, we see a couple of aces. That's right, folks. We have Frank Ammirante and Kev Mahserejian, otherwise known as @RotoSurgeon. What's up, guys? How you doing?
How's it going? Great to be here. Great to see Kev. Great to meet you. Let's talk football.
Yeah, no, thanks for having us, man. Thanks for the awesome intro. I wouldn't say aces. Frank and I are more like jacks of all trade.
Well,
yeah. we're not the highest of hands, but we try.
If we play them well, they do good, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you got a pair of jacks with 3 aces, you got a full house.
Nice. No, so the thing behind the name is I'm mixing in poker content. There's going to be bonus shows with poker players. I'm going to start out with doing a couple of real good female poker players in the Boston area that I really like. One I just found out isn't going to be available until mid-July because she's out in Vegas playing poker at the World Series of Poker and all the other casinos out there, because that's what you do this time of year if you're a tournament player. So
yes, I got to start listening because I need all the help I can get.
Yeah. I just started playing again this year in February. I played when I was younger, professionally from like 2004 to like 2008. Well, I had a regular job too, but I was playing enough poker hours to say it was, I'm a cash game guy. I do tournaments too, but I like to grind, 50, 60 hours a month at the cash tables and let it gradually build. There's swings and, it's like the stock market. You go up and down, but, you play good. You take advantage of the people who you should. You avoid who you should, and over the long term, you win some money.
Yeah, definitely. I do not spend that much time, but when I am around a casino, I do like to go. If my buddies and I are in Vegas, they'll go play slots. They'll play craps. I like to go play some cash games for like 2-3 hours. I mean, hey, longer if I'm on a good run.
3 hours is perfect. I try to keep it to 3 hours. I'm down the street from the casino, so I have options. I don't have to. Before they had casinos in Massachusetts, I had to drive 2 hours to Foxwoods and stay the weekend. So,
I wish. I mean, it's hard when you have plans. When you're going with friends and you guys have plans to do shit, go out, go to dinners. Go to a club, go do whatever, and you're just like, you feel like a lone wolf going to play some poker because you are playing by yourself essentially. Whereas craps, right. If you all sit at a slot machine, it's a little different. Yeah, I don't know. It feels wrong, but that's what I want to do. So I definitely make my way out there.
Nice. All right, so let's jump into a quick interview, personal interview, background fantasy. We're not going to do it as elaborate as I do on Thursday Checkdown, but just so the audience can get to learn you, Kev and Frank. I don't know if you were on Sports Affiliation last year with Greg and Tip at all, but I want to say maybe you were.
Me,
yeah, okay, but yeah, so. Well, so in that case, I was going to go seniority and start with Frank, but in this case, since the audience has already seen you once, we'll start with Kev on this one.
I was going to say, if you want to just say Frank's older than me, I'll take that as a compliment.
I am.
Is he?
Yeah,
Frank seems like he's closer to my age than your age.
I mean, I just turned 31, so I'm feeling old. So I don't know about you guys.
I'll be 42 next week.
I'm closer to Kev. No, I'm 35.
Yeah, you guys look young, and that's what matters.
You guys are youngsters, yeah. You guys are smart, though. Very sharp dudes.
Thank you. It's because I shaved. That's why I look this young. But otherwise, no. I mean, If I don't, what do you want? Is this like my intro, or what do you want me to do here?
No, I'm going to ask you, how long have you been playing fantasy football? When did you stop playing?
It's been about like 13 years. It's 2020. Yeah, I started around 2012, 2013, somewhere in that. I think it was the 2012 fantasy basketball season, and then 2013 I started fantasy football.
All right. So Frank, how about you?
Yeah, 20 years ago in high school, probably grade 10,
Right.
started with fantasy basketball in one of those like computer science classes. We played on Yahoo. And then I went to fantasy baseball and then football. And then we were hooked ever since. I got leagues with the same guys ever since then. So
yeah, that's the best.
Yeah.
Nice.
Those are the best.
All right. So what I want to know is, how did you guys get into, like, how did you want to pursue covering sports professionally? Like, I know you're going to say it's because it was a passion, but like, I want to know what led you to that.
I don't know what it was exactly. I've always I collected cards all the time. Like I have a horde of sports cards, memorabilia less so otherwise. I have my fair share of like bobbleheads and like other stuff, but I collected sports cards my whole life. I still do to a way lesser degree. Loved opening boxes and looking at the stats on the back. And this is a very basic thing. A lot of people like collecting sports cards, but my buddy Jack and I, we had a very like driven passion, like get the next patch or jersey card or autograph or jersey piece, excuse me. And just building off that and playing fantasy. I was like, oh, I have a very vested interest into this stuff. And I've monitored stats my whole life, sports stats. I've always been on ESPN or Baseball Reference, Football Reference, whatever. And just writing about it and giving my insights just felt natural. So that's where kind of for me it came from.
Frank, how about you, brother?
For me, like Kev, I've been a sports nut since I was a kid. I've been always into stats. And then really just through the years playing fantasy and then through group chats talking sports all the time, I just decided to make a Twitter account and just put my takes there. And then from that, I just got on with a few sites and then I enjoyed writing about it. It was a lot of fun. And ever since then, I've been doing it. It's been probably 6 years now.
Nice.
Maybe 5. Yeah.
Nice. Why don't you tell us some of the companies you've been writing for and stuff like that?
So I worked at
give us a breakdown of your career, like real quick.
Yeah, so I did freelance with Rotoballer, 4for4 Football, then the Game Day. Then I worked with the Game Day full time for 3 years. Did sports and fantasy and betting, and even like evergreen content where I'd write like promotional things like sports book reviews. And then from there, after my time at the Game Day ended, I've just been freelancing a lot. Back to Rotoballer with Fantasy Pros as well. Then a few betting sites. There's one called bestodds.com. And more in my Twitter bio that everyone could see at Ammirante and TFJ. Just basically, I love writing and working remotely, so just trying to continue freelancing as many places as I can.
Nice. And Kev, how about you, man?
Writing wise, I mean, I'm doing fantasy baseball right now, mainly at Fantasy Pros and Rasball, doing weekly articles there, 10 burning questions over at Fantasy Pros, and then Rasball, I'm doing a weekly ambulance chasers, aka injuries for the week update on Fridays. But yeah, I'm excited to get fantasy football content out and running. I have my Patreon right now with my rankings. Well, not my rankings yet, but my dynasty rankings and my fantasy football projections for the whole season. They're getting updated constantly. But yeah, actual, redraft rankings are coming soon. But just, I've been doing a lot of those underdog drafts, though. Underdog's been my life force for the last couple years now. And especially this fantasy football season, I'm going kind of hard.
Nice.
Love it.
All right. Frank, what's your favorite football team?
Washington Commanders. Back in grade 10, I wanted a team to cheer for. I wanted to pick a team that none of my friends like they like the Packers, the Bills, the Vikings, teams like that, the Cowboys. So I liked Clinton Portis, and then it was the year that Joe Gibbs came back, and then ever since then, I've been a fan.
Nice. I like that. I've always had it. I I never ever rooted against the Redskins. Never had or the Commanders. They were I say Redskins because I'm an old guy, but yeah,
they were. That was part of our lifetime too. That was recent.
No, I know that, but that's like when they were good during the mid '90s. I remember early '90s. I remember watching them. Showing my age now, but yeah,
you're fine.
So why don't you dissect the offense for us? No, I skipped one. How do you think they're gonna do in 2025? Give us an outlook.
Well, yeah, that was my favorite season I've ever had as a fan. Jaden Daniels' rookie year, that surprise trip to the NFC Championship. You got to love what the Commanders did in the offseason, really beefing up the offensive line. But I think the Cowboys will be better this season, and the division will be more difficult. So it wouldn't surprise me to see the Commanders take a slight step back, maybe win 10 games, and then they'd be battling it out with the Cowboys for second. Still make the playoffs, but maybe slightly worse record. But, obviously long-term outlook looks great. They could easily just build off last year and be even better. But just, I guess as a fan who's dealt with several years of disappointment with this franchise, maybe I have a bit of a pessimism still in me. But just if I have to say a prediction, a slight step back, still make the playoffs as a wild card team, then they go 10-7.
I kind of like that because if Dak is healthy, Dallas will probably improve, like you said.
Like, not saying Dallas will be better than the Commanders, just that will be good again, and the division overall will be tougher.
It's a tough division, yeah. You got to deal with, Philadelphia is going to be right there. But all right, Kev, what's your favorite team?
I'm a Rams fan, and only because they came back to LA. I had no allegiance to them prior to. But hey, look, honestly, I'm proud of whatever they've done over the last almost decade now since they've came back to LA. Love rooting for McVay. He's obviously an awesome head coach, and just Stafford. You can't ask for more from a quarterback. I'm just very concerned, obviously, about the future past Stafford, but what are you going to do about that? You'll take the Super Bowl ring and be happy about it. But yeah, no, I'm not going to jump off ship if McVay is gone and Stafford's gone. But I do expect some lean years in the next 2 to 3, probably 3, very likely.
All right, so we'll go back to Frank. We didn't dissect the Washington offense.
Oh yeah.
For 2025 fantasy. I sorry guys. Like I said, I'm still learning. Give me grace. I usually have Rick to lean on. He helps me out. It's great having a co-host. My second show, and we're working on it.
You don't need to. You're good. We get it. We both potted a lot. It sometimes it doesn't get easier. You just keep grinding through.
No, I trust me. I'm way better than when I first. Like, it was embarrassing. Like, I'm surprised that I stopped. But I have fun doing this, and so.
Oh yeah.
I'm hoping to get better. But all right. Frank, Washington offense 2025 fantasy outlook. They added Debo. We know they added Debo. They drafted a 7th round rookie running back. Take it from there.
Yeah, I mean, nothing I'd say really is groundbreaking on the offense. Everyone knows it's a good offense. Jaden Daniels is a stud, elite tier fantasy quarterback. I'm a little bit skeptical on McLaurin in fantasy just because he's priced up now, and then a big part of his leap in production was because of touchdowns. He had 13, pretty much doubled his previous career high. So I think we could see some regression there, and maybe he's a bit of a risky pick for me. I like to fit Debo in real life, but in fantasy, I don't think there's a huge ceiling there. There's a risk that Debo's on a decline. I just like how he fits in the offense as that threat after the catch that can fit in well with Jaden Daniels. But in terms of fantasy, not so excited about Debo. Brian Robinson, it's great for him that he went unscathed. I thought they'd get someone in the draft with a higher pick, or maybe take a shot on Nick Chubb or Dobbins, but that didn't happen. So, he's nothing exciting. Like, there's not a huge ceiling there, but if you went 0 RB like Kev did in the recent draft you guys had, maybe Robinson later on makes sense as your RB2 because he's still going to be, that primary threat in the red zone. But yeah, overall, if I'm saying a takeaway on fantasy, the main target is obviously Jaden Daniels, and then the rest I'm kind of tempering expectations on. Overall, should be a great offense, though.
So a lot of people are out on McLaurin because of ADP.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, on Underdog, I'm pretty sure he goes right next to JSN. I'd rather have JSN than McLaurin this year. Even though that's half PPR, I get it. JSN gets a hit because of, he's not as big of a deep threat as McLaurin.
ADP 28 on NFFC high stakes.
Okay. Yeah, it's too much for me. I'd rather, especially NFFC full PPR. Where does JSN go? I haven't done one yet.
It's like 24. Late second.
20 to 31. 24 is his ADP.
Yeah, I'd rather go JSN's direction there. But,
I agree. I think I agree with that. JSN is I feel like he's gonna have a huge leap this year.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with Terry is he's so good, and you had the touchdown-driven year. But the thing is, I mean, Jaden is going to help him score touchdowns, where Sam Howell and Alex Smith, whoever else he's had throughout his career, weren't really high-volume touchdown throwers. And Jaden's not going to be like a 35, 40 touchdown guy, but even so, you imagine 40% of those touchdowns are probably going to Terry anyway. But even you can't scale up his volume. Terry it feels capped at like 24% of the targets because he's never really had more. That's like DK Metcalf basically. And DK's at 25%. He has Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. So I don't really see a difference between those two guys 20 picks apart. And like JSN, he's going to have like a 30% target share, even if he doesn't have as many touchdowns. Tyreek Hill goes in that range. Even let's say he's like washed or not the same, Tyreek's gonna have a shit ton of targets.
Yeah, I like the point you made about how you think that McLaurin's volume is capped. I totally agree because this is who he is. You look at his career numbers in terms of yardage; it's been pretty much similar throughout. And yes, you're right about the touchdowns that it'll be better than previous seasons just because of Daniels, but hard to bank on 13 again. Probably more like 8.
But even if it's 10, that's not getting you where you need to go with 120 targets.
Exactly. That's exactly it. And
what did he do last year? Where was he? He was wide receiver, 15 in half PPR?
Yeah, exactly.
His ceiling is like wide receiver 12, which is great, but you're paying wide receiver 12 for that.
Exactly.
Around there, if not like wide receiver 15 for a max of wide receiver 12. Would I rather take Devontae Adams? That's where it becomes like, Devontae's playing wide receiver 2. He might be a little washed. But then there's Terry might hold out, and it's like you don't really know. That's why Marvin Harrison Jr., I feel like very similar case as Terry, and he's not going to hold out. Tyreek, JSN, like you mentioned. Garrett Wilson, he's going to see a crazy amount of targets.
Definitely would rather have Garrett Wilson.
How about DJ Moore?
No, that's way below.
That's the threshold.
Still maybe do it because I think people are underrating DJ Moore a little bit.
But you could get him like 10 picks later is the thing.
You don't have to take him directly.
I get that, but I was just saying like for overall.
In general, I mean, I took DJ Moore in our draft in the NFFC draft, but like at the right price, I would absolutely take DJ Moore, but he's not in that. He's in the like DK Metcalf, Devonta Smith conversation. He's not in the Tyreek, Marvin Harrison Jr., JSN, Devonta Adams conversation.
Right. Speaking of Devonta Adams, let's move on to the Rams and discuss their offense. I'm big on Devonta this year myself. I got sniped on him in that draft. I'm not too thrilled about it because it's the same guy sniped me in the first draft I was in. And he's pushed him up. He pushed him up, dude. Like I was like, I can't believe you just took him there. I was gonna take him there. Like,
I was gonna be the crazy one.
Like, how does that happen? So that's how I know some people are in on him. I just think he's gonna have a ton of touchdown equity. Like he's gonna have the red zone. And Stafford, and I believe in Matt Stafford. I think he's an elite NFL quarterback. Bottom tier elite, but I think he's an elite NFL quarterback. I hope he stays healthy. I'm praying because I like the Rams. Rams are my underdog to go to the Super Bowl this year.
Not a crazy take. Devontae, he's such it's a safe play. Taking Devontae, I know it sounds crazy to say safe at his age, but he's one of those vets like the Larry Fitzgerald kind that like age fine. Like you're not really worried because they're not going to lose a step. He hasn't really had any significant injuries. He's had like turf toe and like a banged up AC joint, but nothing too significant. If God forbid something happens to Puka, which seems like something happens to Puka every year outside of his rookie year and his like college to NFL career, Devontae is in for like maybe the highest target share in the NFL. So there's contingent upside and there's individual upside, like you said, with the touchdowns. But I will say Stafford's only thrown more than 26 once in the last like 7 years. the Rams want to run the football in the red zone.
Right.
Yes, bringing Devontae helps, and he should probably lead the team in touchdowns, but that might look like 9 touchdowns, which is fine for that range, but you would really require that 2021 Rams offense. I believe it was 2021 when Stafford threw 41 to have a similar season. But hey, who knows?
Are we in on Kyren Williams third round?
You're asking me, and that's an absolute no, obviously. But I get the I'm
out on him too. I traded him last year in Dynasty for a first round pick, and I feel like he did go off last year. Like the guy had success with him, but I'm in rebuilding mode. I took over an offense, so.
Yeah, I think it was like the second half of the season, he definitely did not go off, but he was fine. He was an RB2 in the second half of the season. So
I don't know if it was the same. It might have been the same guy that dropped him when you had to do the roster cutdowns.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody dropped him before the season started, and 2 years ago, and I picked him up. I got him off the free agent wire. So to be trading him for that,
But you got a first this year?
No, I got a first last year.
Who'd you take with that first?
Let me think about it.
Because that's important too.
Odunze.
Which could do worse.
I know.
It's not the worst, not the best.
I'm still waiting. Yeah.
I think you're gonna have to keep waiting. But hey, who knows? I mean, with the Burden injury, Odunze could be he could have the season people want. But yeah, Kyren, if he gets extended, obviously he's gonna be fine because that volume is locked in and McVay loves him. But I'm a Jarquez Hunter fan. Hunter was way better than Tank Bigsby in college. While I think they're like the same age, or Jarquez is younger, but whatever. Jarquez has the speed. He's good in pass pro too, so he has that viability on passing downs. It just really depends on if the fumble issues and Kyren's health come into play. But yeah, while Kyren's healthy and early in the season, he's going to have the volume, and I don't care about that. I care about the late season. And last year we saw that tread on the tires. It was running out. So,
and he's not a guarantee to make it through the season either.
No, he never is. A history of ankle issues, significant high ankle sprains. I think he's had like three significant ankle or foot issues. And I don't know. He doesn't look good. Every time you see him run, it's like, it's only because the guys behind him are worse somehow. What I didn't realize, and I want to clarify, I was in on Corum. I didn't realize Corum was going to turn 25 last year. Or he was like 24 on the verge of 25. That's on me. I did not do my research on Blake Corum. I just thought the Rams drafting him on day 2 meant Kyren was replaceable.
I don't watch much college football, but the games that I watched, he played pretty good. Like he looked good, but again,
because he was older than everyone. I didn't realize he was an adult playing with children.
That totally makes sense now.
Yeah, right. It's like if you watch BYU football playing like some random FCS school, and you're like, oh, they're dominating these guys. And they're like, yeah, because those guys came back from a mission, and they're 27 years old, and they're beating up on 19-year-old children. Or Utah.
Look at this comment right here.
Yeah, no, Joey's saying that's my boy. That's my Chicago boy. Yeah, we're both believers in Caleb Williams, so we'll see how that goes.
I like him too. I'm in on him.
Joey's the man. But yeah, we'll see with Kyren. I'm not drafting him. I have a shit ton of Jarquez Hunter. So,
I saw that. You took him in the 14th round in our draft.
I had to.
When I was live streaming it, I was like, "Stupid Kev, what the hell are you doing?" I was like, "He knows his." I said, "I was like, he knows his Rams," and I think I was like, "Now I gotta look," and I went and looked because I took him in the first draft I did, and I got him in the 7th. I got him in the 17th round, so I got a
if you're gonna draft with me, you have to reach for him.
I got a 3-round, not that it matters at that point. You know what I mean? After the 13th round, the ADP's out the window way before that, but especially in the 13th round.
I mean, Jarquez Hunter, Corum went 2 rounds before him, and like on Underdog, Jarquez goes before Corum, so I was very happy with that.
That's nice. That's good value.
Yeah.
All right. So
I don't know. We'll see with that backfield.
All right. So I went through a bunch, all the list of teams in the NFL, and I picked a handful of teams I want to talk about their offensive situations with you guys. I'm unsure. I have some leans, but I'm looking forward to hearing your guys' thoughts on some of these situations. So we're going to start with the San Francisco 49ers. What I want to know is who's the running back handcuff to have. I've seen some people in on the rookie draft pick. So we'll start with Frank. Frank's been sitting there for a little bit, so go ahead, bud.
Yeah, let Frank please.
For me, it's probably the boring answer, but it's Guerendo. We saw what he could do a bit last year when he was thrust into action. So if CMC were to miss time, that'd be who I'd bet on. I like CMC getting him at the end of the first round. I know Kev doesn't like him, but I think if CMC could just, if he could, obviously it's a stretch given CMC's injury history, but if he could stay healthy, you could get a big profit there and a potential top 5 production. I don't think he's shown this decline in skill. You just got to stay on the field. So I'm high on CMC. I think Guerendo will be the handcuff.
Do you think there's any chance that they'll downsize CMC's volume to the point it's a no? So
no, I don't think so. I think especially, with Ayuk coming off the torn ACL, they need to feature CMC, and the Niners aren't as stacked as they've been in the last couple of years. They got to rely on McCaffrey more so. So I think he'll still be heavily used, and they won't ease his workload back. They're just going to ride that thoroughbred until he runs out of juice.
I'm on the same page. I think it's Guerendo as the backup, and I like Jordan James. Don't get me wrong, but Jordan James is kind of like that hammer back, but they don't really need him if CMC's active because CMC is the everything back. If CMC gets hurt, James will be involved. It won't be a Guerendo show like last year because Guerendo got hurt again, and he's always bad history of injuries. So, but Guerendo will be better while he's on the field. But if I'd rather draft James later, if that makes sense.
Does make sense.
I think both CMC and Guerendo are very my take on CMC is he's healthy. He's going to be on the field. He's going to have the workhorse load he always has. How long does that last? Does that get you to does that get into the fantasy playoffs and sustain through the fantasy playoffs? I'm betting against that all day at the turn. And he's higher. He's higher now. He's pick 8, 7. I'm taking Ashton Janty. I'm taking Malik Neighbors over him. I have and even before that, I was taking Brian Thomas Jr. and Nico Collins over him.
He's the earliest he's gone in an NFFC so far is 10. He's got an
I get it. He's CMC, but it's a name. I mean, Malik Neighbors just went absurd last year with way worse quarterback play than Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, and Jackson Dart. So
he had 170 targets.
Yeah, especially
but I know Neighbors is amazing and all this, and he had all those targets, but where did he finish in receiver points per game?
But again, Daniel Jones was his quarterback for most of the season.
But it's still
that matters.
So Neighbors was receiver 7 in points per game, full PPR. Obviously, he can improve on that. Obviously, he's an extremely talented player. He's earned targets at a crazy rate. The Giants improved their quarterback situation, but that's the risk with Neighbors that I'm saying. Like, what if he's like another year of 17 points per game, and then McCaffrey can have that usual blow up. So that's the opposite case.
And the other end, my case again, you have a running back at 29 years old coming off of an Achilles injury that was very mysterious and a hamstring issue. It wasn't just the Achilles.
I'm not even saying like they're like, oh, you got to take CMC over Neighbors. Just pointing out. And
then Janty again. Then you could take just the top 5 pick or whatever, 5 or so wherever. I think it was 5. Who is a generational quote unquote running back. He's just going to get a crazy amount of volume in a Chip Kelly offense with Pete Carroll at head coach and Raheem Mostert as his backup. 32-year-old washed Raheem Mostert. I think Janty as a rookie could easily lead the league in touches.
I think we could see Janty having a similar rookie season to Zeke or Barkley and just really.
Yeah, and that's very historically great. And he's 21 or 22 instead of 29 and coming off an Achilles issue.
Zeke was our B3 rookie year, right?
I could see that for sure. More like a Zeke type of year because he's not I think
whatever it is.
Yeah.
I like it. I like the call. What about the 49ers was wide receivers? Who are you in on?
I think Ayuk will play within. He might be active week 1.
Yeah, I think Ayuk's the best buy out of here because you could get him like round 8 on underdog.
He's the cheapest one.
Yeah, I just rather just take a shot on him. The shine is worn off a bit because he even struggled before the injury, and obviously it sucks coming off the torn ACL. You got to temper expectations with Ayuk, but like it's baked in. Like he goes pretty damn late, so I'm willing to take that shot.
He is going around the 8th round, 8, 9
It's pick
turns.
80. Yeah, balls, but I'll take it.
Work could come at the end of the year anyway, and that would be great on your bench.
Like I'm looking at it now, and the more positive, like there's Matthew Golden, there's Jaden Reed, and I like both of them, but if I'm playing a weekly league, I don't know who to start out of the Packers. I'd rather just get Ayuk, and then once he gets healthy enough, I could just put Ayuk in my lineup every week and not have to worry about it.
He'd be a pretty
Even
good.
If he was bad last year,
he'd be a nice flex, like Frank said. He could be a nice flex down the stretch.
Yeah.
And then here's the thing: Debo's gone. We don't even know what Ayuk looks like without Debo.
Exactly.
What is and like Pearsall has a hamstring injury already. Juwan Jennings.
Like he came out.
Juwan Jennings. He's had one good year at 28.
Yeah.
I'm taking Ayuk.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of guys hyping up Jennings too. I don't know, man.
He's good in best ball here and there.
I just think that if CMC is back if he's back in the picture, like Jennings is never ever been used high volume when all the receiving options are there. So that's what scares me about him.
Yeah, the 49ers are a very consolidated offense. They're not one that wants to move the ball around. I mean, they consolidate to their elite players, and that was Ayuk, Debo, Kittle, CMC. Debo's gone. I think it's going to be CMC, Kittle, Ayuk, and then periphery Jennings, Pearsall.
Right. I like that. That sounds pretty good to me, man.
Yeah.
I think we're on the same page there. All right. So now the next team I want to talk about is the Green Bay Packers, the wide receivers, basically, pass catchers.
Yeah.
Now Tucker Kraft is going. He's. Let me look up the exact. I think he's a value in drafts right now. He's fallen to let's see, Tucker Kraft 137.
Yeah, I mean, with the Kyle Pitts foot news, with Kincaid looking terrible, he's not. I mean, it's like there's worse picks at tight end in that range. I preferably would have that tier of tight end covered already. Like you could get Mark Andrews at pick 105. Jonnu's falling with the news, but I think he stays in Miami. He's falling though. That's the thing. It's Hill, Waddle, Jonnu, and Achane, obviously. That's the passing offense in Miami. And that's like 600 targets that they're going to spread between those four. And one of them gets hurt. It's great. Okay. Ingram, he's in that range too. And then you get to the Kraft, Goddard, Ferguson. Like, I don't really want to start any of those guys weekly. So it's like a best ball play.
You could almost wait a little longer and get take a shot on Mason Taylor or something like that.
But why would I do that if I could get Mark Andrews at 105?
No, I'm saying for up, backside, up upside. Yeah, not as something to rely on. Nobody's waiting on tight end that long. I don't think.
No, I hope not, unless they're in a best ball league. Best ball, I'm all for waiting until going Andrews Kraft or going whatever. Yeah. You want like I get Goddard a lot in that range, and I think Goddard's the best. Like Kraft had the touchdowns, and I don't think you could scale up Kraft. Is the thing. I think he's maxed at a certain target share.
One quick note: I think the Packers went extremely run heavy in the second half last year because Jordan Love was playing through injury, so they were sort of fighting him a bit. So if Jordan Love is healthy, looks like back to himself. You could see just more passing volume just because of that, just because of his return to health for Love. And that gives us a bit of a, buying opportunity on this Packers passing offense if that take turns out to be right, which I do think because it did kind of sort of come, a little bit surprisingly that they were so run heavy after Jordan Love's first year as a starter, over 30 touchdowns, 4,000 plus yards, averaged around 244 yards per game. I think not to say that the Packers will suddenly be so pass heavy, but maybe an uptick in passing volume. And then one of those pass catchers in this ambiguous room, Kraft, Reed, Golden, could turn out to be a nice value. So I think it's a passing game worth investing in, the Packers.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good. Hold on. That's a pretty good take, Frank. I'm giving Frank his flowers here because I didn't even think of that. I mean, I shouldn't say I didn't think of it, but the way you presented that, it convinced me that that's a good point about Jordan Love being banged up and injured and why they run. Like, I was I was aggravated about how much they ran.
Yeah,
because I feel like they should at least take a chance, but it kind of makes sense now that you bring it up and I'm thinking about it and we're sitting there. I like that. So there could be
they finally use a first rounder on a receiver. It's kind of signals they want to get the passing game going. So
yeah, I like it.
And they're all, what are they? Where are they going on NFFC? Like, say Golden and Reed. And
they're going at like 70 to 80 in that range. Oh, Golden might be a little later because he's a rookie, but
yeah, I'm with it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not saying anything against the pass catchers. I'm just saying for Kraft's sake.
No, it makes sense. But in applying that to Kraft, if they're passing a little more, Kraft had a couple spike weeks, even against that.
He did.
The game against your Rams, he just went ballistic.
Yeah, but he was still fourth in target. He was fourth in targets, and he was behind Romeo Dobbs, who played 4 fewer games. So it's like, he's so valuable as a blocker that they don't want to make him like Travis Kelce, let's say.
One more question. Do you guys think that Jaden Reed can get on the field in 2 wide receiver sets?
He can play in the backfield.
I think they got it. Well, there's 2 sides. You could think Reed is one of their most explosive players. At some point, they got to start using him more, right? Maybe they come to their senses. But then on the other side of the coin, you could be like, I got to see it to believe it. And I totally understand that take too. Now at least Reed is a little more reduced in price compared to last year, maybe slightly around or so. So I'm willing to take a shot again. I like the talent there. And then I'm cool with taking Golden also.
Yeah, so go ahead, Kev.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, they're best ball plays. Like, you're never going to know who to start on a given week. If you want to take someone, take Jordan Love. And Kraft's fine if you really waited on tight end. But, like, just take Love as a quarterback and take the other guys in best ball. Because
I do think I would say you could take them in a startable league where you would be like, maybe not Golden. Right away.
Maybe Golden, right, but
you're starting them. But
Golden wasn't a high target share guy in college.
Yeah,
he's good. He's very good, but he's good because he's explosive.
If it turns out in a way where I'm right, that Love passes a little more, and then maybe the target share gets a little consolidated, we start to see someone emerge more, maybe Golden, maybe Reed, then they could become more trustable in your lineup. So it's worth a shot at their current cost, even in leagues where you start receivers rather than best ball.
If they make a trade, if they move Romeo Dobbs or something, even then,
I was just gonna say that.
I don't see them doing that though.
Then you can't trust any of these guys.
That's why I'm in on buying the Jaden Reed dip right now, because if they move somebody, they couldn't move any. Like they have to. I don't know. Dobbs showed poor attitude last year, so I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they entertained offers. But we got to move on to the Bears.
Gotta talk about the Bears.
So all the stuff that they added Colston Loveland. They beefed up the offensive line. They didn't do much with the running backs. They added Manungai, but I honestly don't think he's good at any. I actually think Roschon is all right there, and I'm in on DeAndre Swift. He's going round 7. I think that he's still young. People forget he's only 26 years old. He's still got juice left, and he's got Ben Johnson now, the offensive coordinator. So DeAndre Swift is probably, outside of DJ Moore, I think DeAndre Swift is my favorite Chicago Bear to target in fantasy football drafts. And Caleb Williams too. But I love Caleb. Round 9 Caleb. I mean, you can't go wrong with that price.
Yeah. First thing I want to say is, even in a year where the play calling was terrible and Caleb Williams was underwhelming, like look at the spike weeks he had in fantasy: 23.6, 29.6, 26.9, 26.1, 22.8. So now with a great play caller for Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson, obviously the offensive line's improved, bringing in Luther Burden, Colston Loveland, Rome Odunze maybe taking a next step. I think DJ Moore will bounce back. It was just a bad situation. So I like Caleb Williams a lot. I agree with Kev. I agree with both of you. And yeah, DeAndre Swift could be a nice value, given that the Bears didn't really do anything to improve that running back room. Could even take a shot, Roshan Johnson. I like taking DJ Moore, the best of the receivers, but I'll let Kev. I'll serve it up to Kev to keep it going, talking about Rome Odunze and why maybe you're cautious.
Look, I am naturally cautious on a player like Odunze, who was like very underwhelming as a rookie, despite having volume. 3 touchdowns. Not like the Bears didn't throw a couple touchdowns. They had like 20 plus last year. The yardage was mediocre efficiency wise. Yes, he had a very high uncatchable pass rate, whatever that means. That could have been him running a route wrong. I don't know what exactly goes into stats like that, but that's neither here nor there. Odunze's profile as a whole is pretty underwhelming compared to like an elite wide receiver prospect, let's say like a Marvin Harrison Jr., a Malik Neighbors. So I think people got a little they overestimated him as a player. He's fine, but he's still very expensive. He's going as a top 60 pick despite a very bad rookie year. I'd rather bet on the mystery box, let's say that goes 30 to 40 picks later, those types, like a Luther Burden per se, but he's hurt right now. So I'm kind of weaning off Luther Burden. But then there's, I could go with Jaden Higgins, who knows. But yeah, in Burden's range, I could be taking, Jalen Hurts. Before Jalen Hurts, George Kittle were going that range. They've kind of jumped up a little bit. There's just so many potentially elite players, whereas you're hoping for Odunze to be good first before you're hoping for him to be great. And he hasn't even reached that threshold. I agree with Swift. We know Swift's a good player. Can Swift be a great player? Colston Loveland, I don't want to draft Colston Loveland that badly. In best ball, sure, because, second half of the season, who knows? But he's still very young. And Cole Kmet got paid last year, so they could be really annoying about, Kmet's a better blocker right now.
Yeah.
He is a better blocker. Kmet ends up in line half the games. That's why he's not consistent.
So I don't want to have to pay for a Colston Loveland because he's going in that Andrews, whatever, Ingram range. Especially on like underdog. He's like right behind that. That's way too high for me. Unless I have Caleb already. Caleb's the buy because he has DJ Moore. He has Odunze, who you're hoping for to be good. Burden, Loveland, Kmet. I think Olamide Zaccheaus is on that team now. Whatever. That's a fine wide receiver for. But point being, he has all these weapons. He has a better O-line. He has all these pieces help Caleb the most. I'm in on him. But I want to take another quarterback I could trust more to start first. Like, if I take a Caleb, I'd also want to take CJ Stroud or I don't know what goes after, like Justin Herbert.
I backed him up with Jared Goff. I have
That's
Caleb.
Fine.
I have a Caleb share, and I backed him up with Goff, and I did it because I had Jamison Williams.
Nice.
That's fine. Yeah. See, take a guy you could trust early, and then you're like, okay, let me see how Caleb looks for a week or two, and then you could throw Caleb in your lineup.
Nice.
Yeah.
But best ball wise, I'm all in. Yeah, why not at pick 100 or whatever?
I like
890 to 100.
I like going with DJ Moore of the pass catchers, 90 plus catches in 3 of the last 4 seasons. The popular take among the fantasy community is Moore could be on the decline. Maybe Moore could get traded because he's disgruntled. That's the vibe a lot of people have, I see. So, consensus is kind of soured on DJ Moore, and I think we could take a shot. He's a proven producer. He's in the best offense of his career. I mean,
and he's really good. When he moved
awesome
from Carolina, when he moved from Carolina, I was so excited about that because
wasn't he a fringe wide receiver one like 2 years ago?
Yeah, he was like receiver 6 or something.
On 136 targets, he went 96, 1,364 and 8.
Yeah,
he threw in a rushing touchdown too, but yeah, I mean, he had 14 rushing attempts last year. He could provide some value from all over the field. Ben Johnson. I mean, they paid him already.
His yards after the catch has always been elite.
Yeah, and I think one bad year. I mean, he's 28. Yeah, he's 28. He's fine. I'm not worried about him. He's built like a scat back.
Yeah,
he's built. He's 5'11", 210. Like, I think Ben Johnson can have a little fun with DJ Moore, with Luther Burden. Rome Odunze, I think Odunze helps them like as a vertical threat, like get him as your X,
like sacrificial X.
Let him open up the field for Moore and Burden and Swift and all that. Open up the short passes, the intermediate. I'm excited. I think this offense is going to be really good. I knock on wood. I don't know. The Bears are always hard to trust because something always goes wrong. But how many first overall pick quarterbacks have they had?
Yeah,
really.
I will say I was high on them last year, but my biggest mistake was not knocking them enough for the play caller. Like Shane Waldron had with him.
I mean, it's Waldron. The O-line wasn't that good. Yeah. Caleb was a rookie. It's all rookie quarterbacks are so even now with we've helped rookies, especially wide receivers, so much. They're still rookies. They're learning, and Caleb was clearly learning. So we'll see. But I'm excited for year 2.
All right, so let's move on to the Kansas City Chiefs. Talk about Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy. Who do you prefer of the two? Rashee Rice is going round 3, and Worthy's going, I believe, not too much longer after that. Like maybe sometimes he floats around later.
Yeah, he's been going like on underdog at least like 10 picks later. I think NFFC, there's a bigger disparity. Yeah, it's about a 10. Yeah, it's about a 10 pick, 12 pick
about
disparity.
around.
Yeah, it's actually the same. I don't know. Rashee Rice, he has the potential suspension looming, which if it comes this year, it comes this year. If it comes next year, it comes next year. But it's looming. Who knows? And he's coming off LCL and a hamstring issue, which he had surgically repaired. The LCL is, I think, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a surgeon, despite my name, but it's on the side of the knee. It affects the wiggle of a player. And Rashee Rice is a player who relies on his quick twitch, his route running, not the fastest player out there. He relies on moving side to side.
Yes.
If that's impacted, he's not going to be the same level player he was last year while he was fully healthy. And maybe he comes back to that later in the season or next year. Who knows? But I don't want to pay a top 40 pick for a guy off of knee surgery like that. It's not my cup of tea. I can draft, again, Worthy if I want a piece of that offense 10 picks later. I could take Pacheco 40, 50 picks later if I want another piece. And I could take Mahomes, who could benefit from Rice if he is healthy. Who knows? Again, in that Rice range, who's going? Devontae Adams. I'm going to take Devontae Adams, who could be the potential wide receiver 1 for the Rams. And yeah, I'll live with that happily. I'll take Breece Hall over Rashee Rice.
Frank, how do you see it?
I agree with you. Rice is a little bit more easy to take on NFFC because he goes around 40, like you said. On underdog, he's like 28 or something.
He's going to he's in that like 28, 32
popular range. Because Rice is produced as an alpha, so everyone's like thinking that production can continue. I'd rather wait around and go with Worthy. I think Worthy improved down the stretch, and now with I still have belief that Worthy can go back to taking the top off the opposing defense and making big plays down the field. Yeah, I don't trust Rice off the injury. I'd rather look elsewhere.
Yeah, because he is really good. It's nothing to do with the player. He's really good. I don't want to take a player off knee surgery with a potential suspension looming. I don't want to take that risk in round 3.
I just want to note that I didn't know that there was that big of a difference between best ball and what NFFC is doing. That means there's NFFC. I always say is the toughest drafts, especially early on. You get all the people that are really good. They've already won a ton of leagues and overall prizes, and you're dealing with hostile conditions. Kev can attest to it. We did one a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, it's brutal. And then you have all these regrets after, and you're like, well, there goes $350 if I don't feel good about it. So
10 spot difference means 10 sharp guys are letting them go. So
yeah. Whereas like underdog, I could do my $25 best ball, and I sleep easy if I feel regret after.
So let's move on to the Colts offense, Indianapolis Colts.
Daniel
We'll start
Jones
with Frank.
season.
Frank, go ahead, man.
So,
I want to hear.
So earlier on, I was thinking Daniel Jones is going to win the starting job. I think Shane Steichen is going to, he's on the hot seat. He wants to keep his job. Jones probably, I know Daniel Jones has struggled, but you could argue that with Shane Steichen calling plays, he can do a little bit better. And Anthony Richardson's really been raw and hasn't gotten it done. Now Richardson's injured. I think Daniel Jones ends up as a starter. And that's good news for all the pass catchers, I would say, because of what we've seen from Richardson. So, Josh Downs and Michael Pittman both go outside the top 50 receivers on Underdog. I think they're decent values. And I like Jonathan Taylor, one of the rare workhorses who can take it to the house. I think there's people have soured on this offense, giving us decent price. I like targeting, Taylor, Downs, and Pittman. Yeah. Even Warren I've warmed up to. I know Kev likes Loveland more, and I get it. Loveland's great.
I think Warren's better this year, just because he's a tight end.
I think they're going to really make Warren a big part of the offense, and I think he could perform well. I like the Colts offense in fantasy because of the value.
I like how you said the word warm up, because I was the same way about him. And the more I looked at this offense, the more I think that with the addition of him, I think it's going to consolidate a little bit more. Like you said, Jonathan Taylor is a great running piece. DJ Giddens is a good change of pace, twitchy, athletic guy. And I just feel like that how long can they go on letting Alec Pierce run sprints?
They have to, though. So, you need the Alec Pierces and the A.D. Mitchells to open up the field, quote unquote. So they're going to have Pierce and Mitchell, one or the other at least, if not both, on the field. So I think it's really hard to consolidate as a whole.
Yeah.
But, one injury to Pittman or, God forbid, Downs, who I'm more in on Downs because Pittman's coming off a back injury that he didn't have surgery on. I don't know what that is. I don't trust that ever. And he looked terrible last year, so I'm not going to draft Michael Pittman. He's not washed, but if he's playing through an injury, I'm just going to draft the guy who's going like 10 picks earlier. See, this is like the opposite situation of the Worthy Rice. It's also much cheaper. It's like pick 90 for Downs or pick 100 for Pittman. I'm going to pick 90 on Downs. Come on, Downs. And here's the thing. What is Josh Downs? He's the superhero version of Wan'Dale Robinson, and Wan'Dale Robinson just had 140 targets last year.
That's a nice. I like that with Daniel.
So that twitchy little slot with some speed. Like Josh Downs runs like a 4.4 flat. I think he's just not the biggest guy, so it's not too impressive. But yeah, give me Josh Downs at that. Yeah. And I'm probably not taking Warren outside of best ball. He falls, so I'm okay with it. But like Daniel Jones is fine. And here's the thing with Jonathan Taylor. Now that Anthony Richardson is not behind center. Or under center, excuse me, he's going to catch more dump offs. Yeah. I mean, Daniel Jones runs, but he'll dump it off before he'll run. And with his injuries, and I think with Steichen coaching him, better offensive line, I think Taylor sees a career high in targets. This offense is the best that Daniel Jones is going to be in. He's not a good quarterback, but can he be a worse version of Sam Darnold, which is still okay? Like, can he have a Case Keenum year?
Yeah,
why not? Why not?
And plus, like the Colts, you kind of think they were horrendous last year, but what were they? 8-9. So like
Jonathan Taylor had like 1,400 yards. He was a playoff league winner.
He went nuts. Yeah. So
yeah, late round 2.
Not like it could be. It's not like they'll be a total disaster. And I think
they're a 7-9 win team. Maybe
squeak in. They could be a bit competitive.
That's fine for fantasy.
That would have been a good screenshot. You were.
I know. I thought.
You were frozen like this. Yeah,
it was funny. Me and Frank both laughed at the same time.
I don't need that. You guys, for me, you guys froze, so I thought it was you guys and not mine.
Oh, nice. All right, so we got 3 teams left. You guys want to just bang them out? We'll skip the last.
Let's lightning round. Let's do it.
All right, so we got Houston Texans offense.
I know CJ Stroud said he's healthy and all that, but I'm kind of slightly concerned with the shoulder soreness. And for that reason, I'm slightly lower on Nico. I'd rather go elsewhere. I'd rather go with, Neighbors or Thomas at that cost. So I don't know. I like what they did. I like the coaching the Texans brought in from the Rams. Getting Jaden Higgins too. That was nice, but I'm just concerned about Stroud's health.
Yeah, me and JC were talking about that today.
Sorry, go on.
So, no, just the Stroud's health thing. So I'm hearing this from another person now. So now I might have to start getting concerned. But go ahead, Kev.
I sent an article, like it was NBC Sports, to Frank a couple days ago. Apparently, he's been dealing with this since like his rookie year. So he'll get shoulder soreness here and there, and he's back to throwing already after a few days. So I'm not really concerned, especially in June. Maybe he worked out too hard. You don't really know what the soreness means. It's not if they report a strain, then I'm concerned. But if it's just soreness, that could be just run of the mill. You lifted too hard or something. Like I'm not an athlete, but you feel sore, and then a couple days later you don't feel sore, and it could just be a minor thing. So you never like to hear it. It's never a good thing, but it's probably not a bad thing. And yeah, I think I'm not out on Nico at the turn. I'm not going to reach for him, but at the turn, I'm absolutely taking him over like the older RBs like CMC and Henry. But Jaden Higgins at pick 100-ish, great, good profile. I don't trust Christian Kirk to stay healthy, but he's very cheap too. He's at like pick 130. If I don't get Higgins or Collins and I want to take Stroud as like my QB2, which I like to do, in a best ball especially, I'll take Kirk. I'll take Stroud too, and it's fine. I don't really want to take Schultz. So, and that's the thing. They don't really have a good tight end room. So it's like the offense is going to be consolidated to the receivers. And Joe Mixon's in a boot. Nick Chubb doesn't catch a lot of passes. If Nick Chubb's the starting running back come week 8, this offense is just going to be all wide receivers, which kind of was last year, but to a better degree because Tank Dell was not looking good last year.
Yeah, and quick thing, Nick Chubb worth a dart throw.
Yeah.
He could be cooked. He could look better another year removed from the injury. This is one of the greats at the position. He's a hard worker. He's got a chip on his shoulder now. I don't think we could totally count him out, especially we just saw Kareem Hunt, who everyone thought was cooked. And even though he didn't look great in real life.
He played for the Chiefs, though. Playing for the Chiefs and Texans is a little different.
True. Chubb, I know, but the point is that, we can't totally discount Chubb yet. He's worth a dart throw late in drafts.
Yeah.
He will get the carry. Sorry,
no. Go on. You're saying
he will get the carries if Mixon was a missed time, and I think that their defense, the Houston defense, helps that out. They controlling the pace of the game, and that's what Nick Chubb does. He's the guy that goes in there and does those dirty carries. So I'm in on a dart throw with them myself.
I'm not going to pay for Chubb, but round 17, 18.
Yeah, that's what I get.
Why not? In half PPR, I probably wouldn't really. I mean, again, that price, fine, sure, I'm not mad at it. But yeah, I'm fading Mixon unless he goes pick 80 to 90, because I don't trust it. He had the injury at the end of the year, another ankle injury. He's had a bunch of those, and he's in a boot right now. I don't know what that means. Maybe he had tightrope surgery, and we don't know. But yeah, they traded up for Woody Marks, and he's kind of a receiving back. He's possibly long down in distance for them. Chubb could take away short yardage work if he's healthy off that ACL, MCL, another year removed. He broke his foot too, so we have to add that in, obviously. I just want the receivers mainly of this offense. Give me the receivers and Stroud, and I'll be happy, because there could be a lot of value. And yeah, I mean, again, replacing Tank Dell, who looked like shit last year, with Kirk and Higgins and Jalen Noel, they went all in on helping this wide receiver room.
All right, let's go to the Cleveland Browns. My main concern. So my sleeper is for the pass catches is Cedric Tillman. That's the. I mean, I know everybody's in on Jerry Jeudy's volume, but the way Jerry Jeudy fits very few builds for me. I have to have like elite high upside guys already for me to have Judy as a flex. I'm not taking him as a wide receiver 3 or anything, or a wide receiver 2, God forbid. But so we'll go to running backs. I'm a big believer that Jerome Ford is the veteran here. So I think people are discrediting him. I also do think, though, that if Judkins gets playing time, he could easily run away with the competition here and be the complete 3-down running back. So I just want to get you guys' take on the running back situation. That's kind of where I'm at currently. I suppose I'm not done all the way analyzing it, but that's kind of my early thoughts on it.
I'll start here because I didn't realize it until I did the projections. The Browns run a shit ton of plays. They are a fast, heavy play. Like they led the league in passes per game last year, and they still had like around 500 rushes or something. It was absurd. So Stefanski runs a ton of plays, so there's a lot of work to go around. They drafted Judkins and Dylan Sampson, so they clearly want to run the ball more after leading the league in passing. It's probably Flacco, which is fine as a vet. He knows how to run the offense, and if they lose a bunch of games, which they likely will, they might go to Sanders or probably not Pickett. I don't know what's going to happen with the quarterbacks, but yeah, they can split between Ford and Judkins and still give Ford workhorse carries. Ford's going to be, they can still give Judkins, workhorse carries. I don't think Ford's going to be startable in fantasy. He'll have some spike weeks for best ball, like for games they're trailing by a lot, and he's the heavy pass catching. He gets heavy pass catching volume, but yeah, I think Judkins by like week 3, week 4 is going to have like legitimate workhorse volume because that's what they drafted him in round 2 for. They love that guy. They're trying to quote unquote replace Chubb, which it's hard to do, but he's a very good prospect, and he's built for it basically.
Yeah, my concern here is I think the Browns could just be a complete dumpster fire. Maybe they start with Flacco, but I really don't think they'll start for the entire season. You'll see some Shadur Sanders. That's obviously very questionable. I think Judkins could definitely lead the team in volume and become the workhorse, but I'm just concerned with the offense overall. And
I mean, that's every year, though. This isn't new. Every year we're worried about the Browns. No,
not as much last year because they made it the playoffs 2 years ago. Yeah, they did. So last year just it went okay because Jameis came in. And I agree with you, though, about Tillman as a late-round sleeper. That's the one I would go after just because he's so cheap, and Tillman showed some juice when Amari Cooper got traded. But overall, I'm not really that interested in this tanking team.
I'm not interested in Tillman.
No 10th round, no 9th, 10th round in Njoku.
If you're going to take any pass catcher at a good value, it's Njoku. And like Judy's going like wide receiver 40, and he's the clear-cut wide. Like Jamari Thrash might start on this team at wide. Like, it's fine. They're going to run a lot of plays, and while Flacco's quarterback, I think they'll be good enough. The volume will get them to where they need to go. If I really need a wide receiver, I'm fine with taking Judy. I'll take him over Olave, who has the history of concussions. I'll take him in that over Pearsall and Jennings and stuff, because at least I know Judy's going to have like a 27-28% target share in that offense. Like nobody else is going to. Like Harold Fannin, no, not really.
Judy fits like a nice if you go heavy running back. Like if you get like Gibbs and A-Chain or just throwing like if you.
I don't want to plan to take Judy as the thing. Like if I end up with him, I'm fine.
That's the kind of build that I'm interested. Like I'm not putting Judy. Like I want upside. Like if I did 0 RB, I want upside at my flex. I don't want steady floor consistency. You know what I mean? I want to have a chance.
I get you.
Guy can drop a bomb, and so. But if you go heavy running back, you want some consistency, especially when you got to start 3 or 4 wide receivers. So,
that's a great point. If you went running back heavy early, getting someone like Judy to kind of keep your receiver room together, keep it afloat, makes sense for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I just want him in best ball. I don't want to have to start Judy. and then end up with 5 targets for 2 catches and 30 yards. Because that feels like that's going to happen a lot. And then the weeks with like 150 yards and 2 touchdowns are going to randomly come, and you're going to be like, why did I bench him?
All right. We got one team left, Pittsburgh Steelers. They added Aaron Rodgers. They got DK Metcalf. They traded George Pickens. They drafted Caleb Johnson. One guy I'm in on in value this year, we mentioned Ty Warren earlier. I waited on one draft and I took him. I ended up kept punting tight end because I kept getting not sniped, but I just kept pushing it off. And I ended up taking Tyler Warren in round 10 as a tight end one. And I backed them up with tight end Pat Fryermuth. I thought that was a pretty good combination. Yeah. I'm kind of in on what Fryermuth might be I think he has a chance of getting around 80 or 90 targets, maybe right around there if he stays healthy. It's always been a staying on the field thing with him. But I'll let you take it over, Frank.
Yeah, so originally wasn't so interested in DK Metcalf, but with Aaron Rodgers there, I get it. There's really no one else. He could get a lot of volume and maybe. But then, it's Arthur Smith. At the same time, this is a good call if, say, you go running back heavy early and you want someone who has somewhat of a floor, but with some upside, DK Metcalf to keep your receiver room afloat makes sense. Caleb Johnson, I think, will just be like the Najee Harris role. I still think it'll be a committee with Jalen Warren. It's the same Steelers 9-win type of team. I'm not going to take Aaron Rodgers, but hey, he can still keep the offense afloat. I think Metcalf, I'm starting to warm up to him, really.
Yeah, Metcalf in best ball is a great play because, again, he has this like high weekly upside as just an explosive downfield threat. And you say Arthur Smith, but then A.J. Brown had one of his best seasons with Arthur Smith and Ryan Tannehill. Like, Aaron Rodgers,
True.
Statistically, he's fine. Like last season, he put up 28 touchdowns and 3,900 almost 3 yards away from 3,900 yards. Like with that, and like, it's not like he had weapons last year. It was Garrett Wilson and Alan Lazard and whoever, Tyler Conklin. It wasn't really the best pass catching room out there. I mean, Breece Hall is great, obviously, but Jalen Warren, Caleb Johnson is not a bad running back room. The O-line should be healthier without Novak. If they can protect Rodgers, he should be able to put some numbers up. Nothing crazy, but reasonable average quarterback passing numbers, and DK the clear wide receiver 1. And you said Pat Freiermuth, in best ball, like he's going at tight end 21, 22 behind like Zach Ertz and Hunter Henry, basically. If they don't trade for Jonnu, that's a value. He's probably the wide receiver 2 on that team target wise.
Now, just one more question about them. Is any potential for Calvin Austin to be a deep sleeper?
Yeah. I have a lot of round 18 Calvin Austin because
best ball only.
Yeah, best ball. I'm never going to start him in like a redraft league, but best ball out. He had 4 touchdowns, 500 yards last year in year 2. He had a really good college career at Memphis. Versatile. He could use that out of the backfield if they want to. Why not? I don't think Roman Wilson's going to overtake or do more than whatever he did last year.
Yeah, because the Steelers feel like a team that could go and sign Keenan Allen or Amari Cooper, so that's worth it.
Yeah, and Amari, Keenan, I don't know, but if they trade for someone, I'm concerned. Keenan, yes, that would absolutely hurt Austin, especially in the first half of the season, but would I be shocked if... Sorry,
I was going to say that would nuke my Freiermuth take too.
Yeah, probably. But that's also they're so cheap. It's not the end of the world if that happens. You're not losing a 5th rounder. It's not like Chubb to Mixon or something significant like that, or like J.K. Dobbins to R.J. Harvey price wise, because you're not losing 5th round value that drops to 8th, 9th round. You're dropping. I mean, it's borderline undraftable if this happens to these players, but those late round picks are for upside anyway.
All right, well, that's it, man. We're gonna close it out now. I appreciate you guys coming on. Frank, I've always liked your.
Thank you.
You've always been a great follow. So love your posts. Love debating with you. I love when you get mad sometimes. Even it's pretty cool.
Sometimes
I like it. I like it. I warmed up to it last night. So last night you're gonna laugh. I'm gonna tell a quick story before we get out of here. Last night, me and JC. No, it was Monday. Yeah, we did Monday. We mock draft the Scott Fish draft, and we were talking. He told me to plug the show, and I was talking about you guys, and a couple of the guys in the chat were like, "Oh, I'll catch another show or something like that." So I defend. I was like, "No, listen." I was like, when you get past, like, when you meet somebody and you don't like, you not necessarily don't like them, but you have a difficult interaction with them, and it's off to a bad start, like, right away. Once you get past the point where you want to stab them in the eye with a pencil, like, they're great. You know what I mean? Like that. I don't like, and you were never that bad to me. But
the only time people don't like me is on Twitter. In real life,
that's what I mean. And I get it, because, like, you're out there, you're giving your opinion, really, and you're not getting anything out of it other than the some people who follow you over time realize you know what you're talking about, and everybody's wrong. So. And then you take pride in your work. You work. I know the work you put in, because I put in a lot of work prepping myself for this stuff too. I've just started diving into content, but I've always played. I've been playing since high stakes since 2017. So I deep dive just as much as you guys. So I know what it takes. So I get when somebody pushes your buttons to the point that you're like, what?
Yeah, sometimes you're annoyed something else happens in your day-to-day, and then you go and read them. Like you just get a little more riled up.
You guys are great. I had a great time. I'm glad we did this together.
Thanks for having
me. Maybe do something during the season.
Definitely. No, appreciate you having us on. Yeah, we just like to poke the bear. That's the biggest thing. But yeah, go follow Frank. Follow our boys here.
Yeah.
Just no, it's a good time.
Yeah, this was good. It was fun. Good seeing you again, Kev.
Yeah, no, Joe, thank you for having us on. Everybody, just keep the content pumping. There's nothing. All this podcasting work. I mean, I haven't done the operating room in forever, because I did like 150 episodes, and you realize it takes a toll on you, but just starting it is the most important thing. And it's sick to see this.
Nice. Yeah. Appreciate that, guys. Appreciate your support. Appreciate everybody in the chat. We're gonna get out of here. Thank you, Kev. And we got let me talk. Thursday check down. We got Sam Wise on. I'll plug the Thursday show. Me and Rick Bruce Wellis host that show. You guys know, the audience knows that, but just to fill you guys in, we got Sam Wise from Roto Underworld. Looking forward to that one. Nice. And that's it. We're going to get out of here. You guys have a good night. Appreciate you all. Good night.
Thank you. Appreciate you having us.